fans, welcome back to Room 237 as I continue my marathon of Italian horror and giallo films. And not only is this the last of my Italian zombie movies, but it is one from the So Bad It's Good barrel. And it is a film by Bruno Mattei, and it's 1980's Hell of the Living Dead. Now, I know this movie has a fan base, as does Bruno Mattei himself. And I will say it's so bad it's good. I did get some enjoyment out of this. I've heard about this movie for a while. I've actually been meaning to buy it for a few years now, even way back when I first started collecting zombie movies. I meant to get it back then. Of course, this is the Blue Underground release. Many of the Cinema Snob Reviews has the poster of this in the background. Now, for those that don't know, Bruno Mattei has built a career out of taking popular movies and not just doing rip-offs or sequels to them, but doing his own sort of Z-movie version of it. And yeah, Italians were known to do that quite often. I mean, they wanted to rebuild their Hollywood or their cinema, so they would remake or do sequels to popular films. Hence, Fulci's Zombie 2 being a sequel to Dawn of the Dead. And they did them so fast and so quick. But Bruno Mattei built a whole career out of it. I mean, he even did, I think he's the one that did that Terminator 2 unofficial sequel. I think he did an Alien 2 unofficial sequel. This is his answer to Dawn of the Dead. And a lot of the criticisms is drawn from, or is given to, just the blatant comparisons and derivations to Dawn of the Dead. Now, it's actually kind of funny when you read what his screenwriting or screenwriter collaborator had envisioned for this film. Now, in Italy, it was released under the title Virus, and it stars Margaret Evelyn Newton, Franco Garofalo, Salin Correa, Jose Gras. It says music by Goblin, but in all actuality, the score is from, it's Goblin score from Dawn of the Dead and Contamination, and even some of their own albums. Because Bruno Mattei wanted their music, but they were too expensive. And he secured the rights to the music he was able to get. Now, originally, his Rosella Drudy, his frequent, co-writer, had realized there had been a lot of zombie movies since and around Dawn of the Dead and wanted to do something different. And had envisioned this film as Soylent Green, but like an undead epic, like an Apocalypse Now of zombies. This is the opposite of that. Now, I'll say I probably liked this more than Zombie Holocaust. I certainly liked it more than Nightmare City. I know a lot of people like Nightmare City as well. I was not a fan of it. Excuse me. Yeah, there is a lot of comparisons to Dawn of the Dead. I mean, the fact that you have these commandos or these sort of ATF type agents, but this is more of a road movie instead of like a hiding out and survive type movie. The zombie effects and even the gore effects are they don't look like this. And yes, this is the exact same, almost the exact same face, at least the top half is the same as the old cover of Fulci's City of the Living Dead, which actually this came out first. Bruno Mattei is also known for his usage of stock footage. There's a lot of stock footage in this, both of just nature and animals, also from a documentary about cannibalistic tribes, because yes, there is some native cannibal stuff in here, but it is more definitely a zombie movie. It's supposed to take place in New Guinea. It was filmed in Spain. In fact, when they arrived in Barcelona, they realized they had no money and they had to improvise and rewrite the script. So what they did was the very minimal footage that they had, with that, they got back to their main area of production, rebuilt the sets that they had, and even used some of that improvised footage. Some of it, yeah, even one where a guy is imitating Gene Kelly, which is towards the end of the film. But anyway, the movie opens up. There's this top secret chemical plant, which has some of the worst OSHA violating protection suits I've ever seen. Looks like a regular Tyvek suit with a vinyl hood, a little bit of transparent plastic. Some of these workers find a dead rat, holding it up. It comes to life, and the guy's holding it here cuts to his coworkers, and when it cuts back, he's standing there like this, and it's already in his suit. And he's like not even trying, he's just kind of standing there screaming. See some blood come up on the plastic. And that's another thing. The acting is deplorable. The zombies, these are some of the most ineffective zombies I've ever seen. It's actually very selective how effective they are. There's points where this one guy, Santoro, I believe is the character's name. Yeah, played by Franco Garofalo, who looks like a young Anthony Hopkins sometimes. He's literally standing there, inches from all these zombies, and being like, "Hey, you want a wing? You want a wing?" And their zombies are literally standing there like, "Oh," not doing anything. And then other scenes, zombies are like, someone walks by them and they jump out and just start attacking. So it's very selective. So this guy's standing there screaming while this rat is killing him. Next thing we know, more workers are infected. The whole plant's infected. Now simultaneously, over in Spain, was it? Yeah, Barcelona. Some of it takes place in New Guinea as well. Our commandos are at this standoff. There's this large mansion with these eco-terrorists holding hostages, demanding that these plants called hope centers be shut down. Of course, it's a conspiracy. It's like a comic conspiracy theory that government denies that they even exist. But the commandos are able to stop it, and then as they lose contact with their command, they think the plant has been overrun by more terrorists, so they're trying to get there. That's their story. In their travels, they encounter this journalist named Leah, played by Newton, and her cameraman, who looks a lot like Inigo Montoya. He's played by Gabriel Renam. They're with a group of people. They stop at this small village. There's zombies there. They get killed. This one guy is the epitome of terrible acting. His whole performance is These bastards, I tell you. Like, he's holding his 7-year-old, who we get to see turn into a zombie and kill him. And they get to kill the kid, which, for an Italian movie, is nothing out of the ordinary, but they did it in Dawn of the Dead as well. It's actually kind of funny when the commandos meet up with them. This one guy's holding the kid out like this, and the kid's like trying to get to him. It's like, I've always wanted to see like just someone at Walmart with someone who like just a spoiled brat, like this anti-vax brat, just standing there like just being held out of reach. It's the little things in life. And these zombies, some of them have a little bit of effects on them, not really. Some of them just have a little bit of blood smeared on them. Some have a little bit of black, like soot, dirt smeared on them, but they look normal. I guess that they just make a face. Very, very cheap zombies. And in fact, this is how the effects are. The first like zombies eating flesh that we see in that chemical plant, we see 2 of them eating the guts out of this guy. His chest and stomach is open. We see the meat and everything, but if you look closely, you can see his abdomen. You can see his chest and stomach right here. It's like they just put all this meat on top of him, and it got moved, and you can see his skin underneath. That happens several times in this, and it's kind of adorable, really. Kid of the mother of the 7-year-old is killed by a priest. So the commandos decide to take Leah and Max, the cameraman, and together they try to make it to the Hope Center plant from the beginning of the film. That's the story. But along the way, they come across like this native tribe that they kind of have to earn their respect into. Like, she has to go in naked with certain paintings on her, which the way it's done in the most gratuitous way possible, because they mention how there's this tribe up ahead, and she says how she'll go alone, and the camera is literally like framed here, and she just, like, the most gratuitous way possible, but they're able to stay. But of course, it's this tribe that refuses to bury their dead. They leave them out somewhere. In fact, it shows this one body that's all bloated. There's one woman like taking some of the death juices, like some of the, putrefaction oozes, and like rubbing it on herself. Kind of like, ugh, nice. And so, of course, since they don't do anything with the bodies, get another zombie attack. They advance further. They come across this one house, and the one guy is looking around, finds a top hat and a dress. That's what he's doing, his Gene Kelly routine. He gets attacked. The Anthony Hopkins looking guy, he's kind of the loose cannon. He's the one that's always, trying to distract the zombies so that they can get the truck going or whatever. And yeah, there's a couple of scenes where he's like right up in their faces. There's like a bunch of them all around him. And he's like in front of their, putting his arm in front of their face, and they're literally just not doing anything. And then other scenes, they'll just jump out at someone, start eating them. And eventually they make it to a beach. They find a raft. They get in it. They're able to get to the plant, and they see it's, that is the genesis of this virus. Oh, also, which is what Leah and Max were doing a report on in the first place, these violent attacks by natives. and locals. And I mean, there are some cool parts. I mean, like when they're fleeing the house, the towards the end, where the one commando gets killed. The Jeep dies and it's nighttime, so you have all the zombies up against the windows. I thought that was a decent sequence. You have when they get to the plant at the end, uh, the guy Max gets pulled into an elevator and he gets ripped apart and eaten. And then the Anthony Hopkins looking guy tries to help him, but they grab his gun, they pull him in, and the button gets pushed so the elevator goes up, and we just hear him screaming because there's nowhere to go. There's nowhere to run away, and he's out of bullets, so we just see the blood running down the side. You get some decent stuff like that. And of course, the best effect of the whole movie. Spoiler alert, even though I don't think anyone cares. This movie does have a fan base. I do know that zombie fans and Italian horror fans do like this movie. They see it for its flaws, as I do. Trust me. It's obvious. But towards the end, Leah, I mean, these zombies, they grab a hold of her tongue and it's up close, so they rip her tongue out. They're like sticking their hand through the back of her head and like it's like kind of like pushing her head from their face from the inside like that. Her eyeballs are getting pushed out. I'm guessing that's where most of the budget went. And then it ends with I think a shot from or a scene from some place, some other country, presumably London or America. News has hit about the undead. This couple's at a bar. They don't believe it. They go outside to make out. She wants to ask this one guy to park for a lighter. She goes up and half his face is gone. He attacks her. More come out and attack her. The boyfriend from a distance is watching. He tries to run away. Then these slow zombies that just stand there and moan can now jump at him and attack him. And then they just sort of walk towards the camera, freeze frame, end of movie. It's definitely the most straightforward tagline for any zombie movie. They eat the living. Like, no shit. So, I mean, the acting is terrible. And, I mean, even Margaret Evelyn Newton has commented on how she knows it's a bad movie. She's glad for the experience, but she knows it's terrible. One other person, Fragasso, who was, I believe, the co-writer of the screenplay, has said, it was designed, quote, designed with lots of love, and it came out as a test tube baby, a kind of abortion, but I'm satisfied with the end results. So even the makers of the film know it's kind of crappy. The midsection is boring. It does have pacing issues. It is 101 minutes. This easily could have been like a 85, 90-minute movie. But when you have the scenes with the zombies, it is entertaining. The whole part with the tribe, that was kind of boring. It does have its downer parts. A lot of the effects are laughable. I mean, even to the point where, like, even when they decide to leave that tribe and all the natives, they don't have a way to defend themselves, so they're all just getting attacked by the zombies. We see them, like, a zombie, like, grabs someone, and you can see that they're holding, like, say they grab someone's leg. You can see that they're holding their leg while holding the prop meat or whatever it is at the same time. So when they move it just right, you can see that it's a separate thing that they're holding while the whole person's leg is still there. But yeah, so good, like Dawn of the Dead, like, you know, neck bites and stuff like that. The score is a bit all over the place. I mean, some parts it's like good Italian goblin zombie music. Other times it's bombastic and obnoxious. But I mean, I wouldn't call this a bad. Well, yeah, I would call it a bad movie, but I mean, I don't know if this would be a rant because I still had some fun. I enjoyed it more than Nightmare City. I'm sorry. I know as far as Italian horror fans go, I'm in the minority for not liking Nightmare City. But, yeah. I know more. And this might even be... I think I've heard some people say this is the best Bruno Mattei film next to Zombie 3. Because technically that is more of a Mattei film than a Fulci film. But I didn't really have much more to say about this. I mean, yeah, it is a Bruno Mattei Z-movie version of, I'll say, both Dawn of the Dead and Fulci Zombie. It is like, it's not just Dawn of the Dead. It's got a lot of Fulci Zombie in it as well. But I went into it expecting terrible acting, terrible voice dubbing, laughable effects, cheap production. So I wouldn't say I was impressed, but I mean, I was at the very least entertained. So it had that going for it. But so yeah, this is the last of my Italian zombie movies. I do have Return of the Evil Dead, or Blind Dead as it actually is, which is the second part of a series. But that's a Italian-Spanish co-production. So I'm not sure when I'll get to that, but for now, this is the last of my Italian zombie movies until I get like Zombie 3 and some other ones. But yeah, but me needing to get this for years, and I'm glad, I actually am glad I finally checked it out. Because I was going to say it was a hell of a watch, which in its own way it kind of is, but it had its moments. It's kind of what I expected. And if you go into it with bare minimal expectation, if you go into it expecting a Bruno Mattei film, I think you'll be alright. Don't go into it expecting Fulci Zombie, because it is the opposite as far as quality. But, so yeah. Hell of the Living Dead. Hope you enjoyed this review, and stay tuned for more Italian horror and giallo films. Thank you for watching.